Hello and welcome to another episode of FinTech Focus TV with me, Toby Babb. Today I'm absolutely delighted to be recording out here in New York City with someone who I've been looking to get on the show for a long time. We nearly did this back in London. We're now even better to have it out here in New York, where you're basing yourself more and more at the moment. James Harrison, Genesis, great to have you on the show.
Pleasure. Nice to see you, Toby.
As I said, it's one which I've been looking to have for ages. You've come across, I think we met actually for the first time, bizarrely, feeling that I've known you for a long time ago, just down the road, a lovely Smith & Walensky. But it's someone who's been on my radar for a long time. I've known Genesis for a long time. I think we've got so many people mutually in common, etc., etc. So finally, it's wonderful to have you in here and recording FinTech Focus TV. So loads to get into. I think your story is a fascinating story in loads of different areas. We've got lots to cover today. But let's go through. I mean, you called it the Genesis of Genesis, which I love as a catchphrase. My dream as a young kid was to be a tabloid headline writer, so I quite enjoy that side of things. But tell me a little bit about, first and foremost, you, the business, your origin story. Let's start at the beginning.
I thought you were going to say, as a kid, you were going to make some reference to Genesis, the pop although you're not that old.
That's where it came from, was it?
No, it wasn't actually. But a few people have called it. So, but obviously, we've got the Genesis car now. There's other things.
Exactly.
But no, the Genesis of Genesis. So, firstly, thank you for having me on. We founded Genesis in 2015. Myself and our CEO and co-founder, Stephen Murphy, another Brit, but he's based in Miami. We started, well, even if I take it further back, I started my career in the late 90s as a software engineer working in investment banking. And then I worked for firms such as Fidessa, which were actually called Royal Blue back then. And I was lucky enough for them.
Wokin's finest.
Yeah, exactly. And then Wokin's finest. And then... I was lucky enough to work at Credit Suisse. I did a couple of years in London, and then they moved me to New York. And that was amazing. And that was 2002 when I came over here. And I was put on the Merrill Lynch project. And I'm telling you all of this because that's where I met Stephen, the co-founder. So, and what was good back then was it was a bit like the Wild West, and as long as the banks were making money, and as long as we were helping them making money, within reason, we were sort of free to be creative within the engineering side. So, and that's where Steve and I really gelled. That's really how we are today. We're very kind of a creative pair of engineers. Although fast forward 15 years, Stephen went up the COO route. So he worked at Merrill, and then he moved to HSBC. And then he also did BTG Pactual, a Brazil-based bank. And I went Credit Suisse, Merrill Lynch, Bear Stearns. None of these firms exist anymore, which is depressing. And then I also did a stint at HSBC where I ran their program trading.
Who are still around.
Who are still around, exactly. That's right. And they're a client as well, so I like to say. So that was our sort of 10, 15-year background working in the industry. And we came together really in 2015. We founded Genesis to be a credible alternative to the vendors out there. And really there had to be a different way to build software. We'd worked in that industry, we'd actually gone from being engineers in that industry to being quite senior people, paying the bills for those vendors. And the teams that were required to support them, the licensing, etc. It's just a very, very expensive way to build software. And really not a lot of innovation either. Some, but not so much.
I think at that sort of stage you're right, it wasn't so much. I think it's probably over the recent years become a lot more, but there was a stage there where the enterprise businesses were, ruling the roost, and it sort of, stifled a bit of innovation. And I've said it on this show quite a lot that actually COVID is the bit which seemed to light the touch paper again for people to be a little bit more innovative, to adopt cloud properly, which there was always resistance to in some of the bigger establishments, and it gave birth to all of these businesses that did some pretty incredible things, I think, at that sort of stage.
You're dead right. And actually, you mentioned the cloud-based thing, open source. There was other things which, of course, we took advantage of. We didn't come up with these things. But, COVID was a big part of it. But even before then, things like open source and cloud-based technology, and it helped us. So as a startup, being able to not needing to buy crazy amounts of infrastructure, and having to buy lots and lots of licensed software, being able to be open source, being able to be cloud-based, it just allowed us. We really genuinely benefited from growing under under that kind of environment. We founded in 2015. We founded in London, and we hired probably about 8 people. Those people are still with us, which is pretty amazing. Over coming up to our 10th year.
All of the initial, so 10 of you at that stage.
Exactly.
Everyone, that's brilliant.
That's right. It really is, and they are now the core experts within the platform. So there's nothing that they don't know. They know.
What's and all.
Yeah, they're brilliant. and of course we couldn't. Back then we couldn't afford people with 20, 30 years experience. So these were young people in 2015, really at the start of their careers. So we've done incredibly well to keep them for that length of time. For the first year,
and imagine enormously rewarding for them because it's been some journey.
We've looked after them. But it really has. I mean, genuinely, financially, of course, but career-wise, what an opportunity to be very, very senior within a quite a good-sized scale-up business now. They're right in the thick of it, and they're also at the forefront of dealing with clients. So great exposure to dealing not just technologists behind the scenes, but actually very much directly in front of clients, which usually takes a long time to happen. If indeed it does. So 2015, we spent a couple of years building the platform. Well, so the platform, was really enterprise grade components. It was all of the things, all of the ingredients that we knew we would need to build in order to be considered credible. To be enterprise grade in financial markets, it has to be performant, it has to be secure, it has to be all of these buzzwords, and that's really what's baked into the platform. And we built it from scratch. We built the platform very much fit for purpose. It wasn't like we started in a different environment and then we tried to retrofit it into financial markets or capital markets. Moreover, it was built from
to build a startup at that sort of stage, to have an enterprise basis in capital markets, that's not an easy startup. There's a lot of procurement issues that you've got to get through to get to that.
And we learned those. We learned those fairly early on. And actually, although both Stephen and I and our network all worked for those big banks, all very aware of what we were doing for those first couple of years, even though we didn't have anything to sell. Even when we went back to pitch to them, great stuff, guys. But, is vendor risk. One firm said we were 3 guys in a garage, which I was offended by because we were more like 8 people in a garage. But no, and that was really, it was an early lesson. And it's an early lesson for all startup businesses, is that vendor risk thing. And of course we were aware of it, but we thought our charm and our ability to navigate that was probably better than it was. So.
Well, it's an interesting sort of play, isn't it? Because your journey is sort of poacher turn gamekeeper turn poacher, as you said. So starting in the vendor world, moving over to the institutional side, being the people who were signing off on those sort of things, then moving back into doing it. It is interesting about how many people sort of go in there and think, right, we can be different, we can get around the system, but the system is pretty sacrosanct in those sort of institutions for obvious reasons. But it feels like the weathering that storm is the maker or breaker, isn't it? And being able to sort of have the runway to be able to do something there that then allows you to finally get the traction that then allows everything else to cascade pretty quickly there afterwards.
Again, dead right. I think we were well regarded when we had day jobs in these banks, but we did a good job at telling the world what we were doing, and the run up to the platform. So we didn't surprise anybody, and we were getting that early feedback from people. But you're right.
And who was telling the world that? Because the interesting part of it is that by background, neither of you two are salespeople.
Correct.
And I know you've sort of taken that role up at various different phases in the growth of the business. But I think the benefit or the real game changer is that both of you have got very charismatic, if I may say, sort of reputations in the industry. It's not like, and there's so many great technologists that really struggle to articulate that story, tell the story, get the traction and the buy-in from it. The reputation might be great, but the ability to articulate that and solve the problems which people need to solve can be
I think that's very, very fair. And we're not born salespeople. I think we're doing pretty well. But you're right to call it out. I think working on trading floors for those 15 years, it makes you resilient. It makes you robust. Yeah. If you don't deliver, you're not on the trading floor for very long. Yeah. So we had a reasonably long career in that market. Stephen as well was CRO of HSBC America, so very, very senior in the industry. I stayed on the technology side, so we knew a lot of people. And really, remember, we're selling into senior people in those banks, but really, when we were in those first year or two, when we were sort of spreading the word, we were selling to business-aligned developers, people like us, technologists in the industry, so people that were genuinely interested in what we were doing, perhaps fed up with what they were using today, seeing what the alternatives were. So, Yeah, I think it's we're well known, and I think, without blowing my own trumpet, we're well regarded in the industry.
And that also actually is an important thing to say, because I think there's been an evolution in what salespeople look like in this industry as well. 2015 is an interesting time where I think it started to change, but before that, I've been doing it since 2000, and you had salespeople that were very much sort of very low product knowledge, but very sort of wine and dine and schmooze and do all that sort of thing, and then they bring in the sort of pre-sales and post-sales people to then do the technical side of things, and I think that's sort of gradually been moving, where the best salespeople at the moment have that credibility because people don't suffer the falls that gladly anymore.
Yeah,
and it's a changing sort of space. So it was almost the perfect time to be able to walk the talk like you've done with the reputations that both of you have garnered over that sort of period, to then be able to come in and have this sort of human touch that both of you have to still be able to deliver that in a completely different way.
Yeah, I mean, we're selling tier 1 enterprise grade applications to trading floors. So the Suave, there's of course there's always a time for that side of selling, but we have a large sales engineering team, and actually they do the heavy lift.
Yeah.
When they it's the constant sort of evangelism of how the technology works. It's like a detailed sell.
Yeah.
Because the buyers are sophisticated. Of course, the COOs and the CTOs are very keen at the savings, or what they can, the acceleration effect you get from the platform. But really, it will hit the technology police, whatever they're called in whichever bank, is those people that have to vet it and and also have to sign off on the technology. So it is a technical sell, and our salespeople, and I run the sales team right now. They're all strong product knowledge, detailed to a level, but very much supported by sales engineering.
Yeah. So that gets you to that sort of phase. You're starting to get some traction in the business. You've gone through that vendor risk piece. You get the first clients on board.
Yep.
What really sort of takes it off for you?
Yeah, so we went back to those big firms, and I told you about the vendor risk. So we actually then sort of not pivoted, but we sort of targeted the broker dealer space, sort of the slightly smaller firms.
Yeah.
They were great because their risk profile was entirely different, and also their appetite to try new things was, and perhaps they didn't have some of the big legacy systems that we were, going up against. So we had some great success there. Our first client, if I'm allowed to say, was Redburn Partners. Will wins the sale. I'm not sure if you've met.
I do.
He's a legend in the industry.
Yeah.
But he was brilliant, and actually and this would have been 2017 perhaps. He was, I hope he doesn't mind me saying, but he wasn't a developer. He wasn't a hardcore technologist, but very savvy business guy. Knew the workflows, knew the products very, very well, knew how they should work. So actually he took the platform from us all back then, and it was, had a few rough edges back then, and really within a couple of days he was starting to build, serious applications around his vendor estate.
I love that sort of story. We have the same sort of key anchor people at the same sort of stage. You take that early trust in you. Mm-hmm. And Will, I think I've just seen him pick up awards and loads of recognition recently. But those sort of people there who are able to to see the opportunity and to invest in those sort of things, the rewards are massive when they do.
Amazing, and actually
for both parties.
Yes, totally. Yeah. And there's still a client today. Still going from strength to strength. But having him act as our sort of champion in the industry, as you say, he's always he's always on the conferences. He's always speaking. So having him as our sort of early adopter was amazing. Yeah. So we started to sort of pick up similar firms to that. Great stuff, and that in itself is a great business. Selling solutions and selling platforms into that is great, but it wasn't until a much larger firm came and said, your solutions are great, and we'll seriously look at them, but we have a whole lot of other development that we need to take care of. We have piles and piles of development we have to get through. Would we consider licensing our underlying platform to them? And we hadn't really. Of course the answer was yes, but we hadn't. It took us, about 30 seconds, but it took us a little while to think. Okay, we built it for ourselves. We know it's good. We know how it works. We have expertise in house, but this is the first time anybody's really wanting to use it in earnest, themselves. So that was it. So really the rest, and that would have been probably about 2017, 2018, similar sort of time. Yeah. And then we were off. We've done up to a Series C. So it was on Series A, Series B, Series C,
and some pretty significant ones within that.
Significant, yes. Well, our first investors, Mark Beeston, I've seen him on the show. So Illuminate, they were our Series A.
They have a good knack for getting the right sort of people.
Yeah, very, very good knack for that. Very much so. And Mark just instantly got it. Absolutely instantly got it. And actually that's
a super talent he's got, isn't it? Yeah.
And what he was, again, early days, we were still just in London at that stage. So he was like, look, you need to be more in New York. That's, the bank's huge tech spend in New York. So actually, during the Series C, they brought in Tribeca Early Stage Partners, a New York-based VC. So it was led by Illuminate, but it was a joint round. So and then we were off. We opened an office here. We started to grow the teams on both sides of the pond. We took an office down in Sao Paulo, then in Miami, and then in Charlotte. So we've sort of grown. We've grown from there. We did a Series B, then a Series C, and we have strategics, which are Citibank, Bank of America, and BNY Mellon. And they only invest in technology that they use, and they're very much big backers of the Genesis platform. So they're starting to build out centres of excellence and all of that stuff in readiness to sort of put the hammer down and start building more and more things.
It's been such an impressive journey, that, and as you say, I think it's testament to the business, the people who are behind it and backing it, and where it's gone and what's been raised. And I think that's been sort of high profile and some great plaudits that's come through from it. And you must be very proud of everything that the business has achieved over that sort of phase, especially when you've always been very humble when we've spoken about this and saying that we didn't expect it to get anywhere, and now to see it where it is just phenomenal. And it is, it's great. It's the sort of things I love talking about on this show. It's the sort of stories which you love to see and develop. And it's been, we've been big fans of the business for a long time. What I was saying to you beforehand is it's really interesting to me that when you see companies get to that sort of phase at C level and above, it can be one of those things where it sort of becomes coasting sort of time. And businesses will say, right, this is where we are, this is what we do, and they sort of rinse and repeat and go on for a little while, but never sort of scale the next sort of height. They have a formula, and it becomes the enterprise that they kind of wanted to disrupt at the start of it. Mm-hmm. And you see that in countless sort of stages. You've done something pretty radical, over recent years, and sort of gone into that sort of thing and reshaped the business. And and I think pricing is its own channel all on itself in this space. But what you've done with it, I think, is really interesting. So expand a little bit about the sort of mentality behind the whole thing, the reasoning behind the whole thing, and how it's working and what it means for your customers and for you guys.
Sure. Yeah. So we started building a solutions business. That's what we knew. So we started to build sort of credible alternatives to some of the firms out there, the technology that we were familiar with. But really, fairly early on, it was evident that clients wanted the platform. They wanted the solutions as well, but actually there was a real appetite for the platform. And really, that's how we operate today, and that's how we've been operating for a while. What we've done more recently, as the platform now is becoming, what we're trying to do is we're trying to remove friction, right? So hitting people with very, very big bills, complex legals, et cetera, there's just, it's difficult to sell software at the best of times. So with obstacles in the way, it's slow and arduous. So we've tried to remove as many of those as we can. Simple legal, simple pricing, simple adoption.
To make it easier to buy, to make it easier to sell, to make it...
We're in the platform business, right? And we're not the only platform in town. Everybody has a platform of some shape or form, if not many platforms of shape or form. I think Genesis is a totally different proposition, but depending on who you're speaking to, you're a platform, right? So
already got something, don't need to displace it.
Yes, exactly.
Busy.
Yeah, why do I need two platforms? That kind of thing. So again, so of course we can deal with that, and we can explain how we're different and why we would benefit and so on. But really, from an adoption perspective, we need to get developers using this stuff, right? Having, building solutions for people is great. People have a problem, you provide them a solution, it solves their problem, life's good. But actually, if you're selling them, if you're using developers to start building solutions for the bank's behalf, we need to try and get them adoption. So, we don't charge anyone for any developer license for the platform. So any developer, irrespective of firm, can be using the Genesis platform for free. Yeah, and that's really, and that's not sort of a free version with very limited access. That's everything, and that's including, by the way, our marketplace of solutions. So many of the solutions that we built, many of the core components, maybe some of the business components. I appreciate I haven't gone into the details of those, but there's a lot of stuff that comes with the Genesis platform. That's all part of the marketplace as well. So all of that is accessible as a Genesis developer. So how do we charge? because we're not in the charity. Professional services, of course, if they want to use our people, that's very transparent pricing. We explain what that is. We have great partnerships with many of the systems integration partners. So all of the big ones, basically the ones that our clients, have told us that need to become Genesis ready. So we have a big network of systems integration partners. So you can come to us, or you can use the partners, or you can do it yourself. So that's from a help perspective. But the idea is we want clients to be building themselves. We don't want them to keep coming to us. Of course, if they do, they do. But the idea is that they start fending for themselves. So that's from a resourcing perspective. From a hosting perspective, clients can absolutely host themselves, and actually many of our clients do. The larger organizations, they've got their own cloud infrastructure or their own non-cloud infrastructure. Genesis will run on anything. But of course, if you want us to host it, and with our support and maintenance and patching and all the other stuff that comes with it, that's very much a pass-through cost. So that's the cost that we bear from, typically it's Amazon, plus a modest markup. So again, we're not in the hosting business, and we're not in the platform business to get rich. The commercial side of our business is purely based on runtime. That's where our clients get the value. So the developers that are starting to build on things, if they build a project that actually just didn't go anywhere, they put together a POC pretty quickly, which is amazing in itself, but it never saw the light of day, nobody pays it. But actually, if it's exactly what they want, and it becomes maybe displaces a spreadsheet or displaces another system, and it goes into production, that's where the value is. And so that's when we will charge our clients. And
Which is a brilliant model, isn't it?
It's consumption based, so the more you use, the more you pay, the more you pre-commit. The idea is we want people to be using us on a long journey. We want us to be the basic infrastructure, within capital markets for these organizations. So they pre-commit we charge an element called vCPU. So it's a common unit of measurement.
Yeah.
And typically why we use that, we did think long and hard about it. We saw we discussed it internally, but we saw external pricing counsel on how to best price. And actually, this unit of measurement, vCPU, seemed the fairest. So the more you use, the more complex the system, the more vCPU, the more users, the more vCPU, the more. So it sort of grew with the complexity, and really that word value again. The more value you're getting from the application, then the vCPU changes to accommodate that. So that's why we chose that method.
Yeah, and so like it's fascinating for me about how and why and where this goes up. And you talk about removing friction, but it's a bold move to sort of rip up the form book. You mentioned there about hosting and professional services, which the form book, the way you build and sell these sort of things, does that become something there which is very, it's almost completely the opposite of what people tell you to do to build value in a business. You've got some big stakeholders within that. It's a big bold play to reshape pricing of software in that sort of space. But when you say it the way you said it, it makes obvious sense, right?
It is obvious, and it's it is. And it is a bold move. Look, we've got great investors.
Yeah.
We've got a great board.
Yeah.
You've got a great CEO.
Yeah.
And we've never done things that everybody else does.
Yeah.
We're all familiar in our day-to-day lives of consumption based.
Yeah.
We pay. The more we eat, the more we use our phone, the more whatever you pay more.
Yeah.
So we're not doing anything particularly groundbreaking from an idea perspective.
But it's just
groundbreaking in the industry, correct?
Yeah. And was there when you sat there and thinking this eureka moment and this is what we're going to do?
You thought it was as quick as that. It just came. After months of deliberating. Yeah.
I'm sure it was. Right? It's like, here we go. I've got it. Tell me about the appetite of everyone. Was there fear going into that sort of play? Was it just right? This is absolutely the right sort of thing. Was it certain, or was it? Yeah.
I mean, from everybody within Genesis, everybody, and I mean it, really wants more and more. When applications go live or we win new deals or whatever, everybody gets notified. We want more and more people to adopt this technology. So everybody in the company, not just Stephen and I, the whole ExCo, the board, but just the whole company wants more and more and more deals to be done. They want more and more people to be talking about Genesis. We want more and more clients. I think everybody's super excited.
Yeah.
Of course, we hope it's going to be a success, but if it, and it will be a success, but you can change these things, you can tweak these things. But, allowing developers to build on it for free and, literally just provide us feedback. Yeah. Imagine the amount of feedback we're going to be getting to improve the quality of the platform. So we are going to benefit by this model. It's not just giving things away and never seeing any benefit. we really will get that feedback loop. We have training, we have great documentation, but it'll be continuously improved as you get more and more feedback from the market.
Yeah, which is such an important part of how the whole thing comes together, isn't it? And I think it's really interesting you talked there about the involvement of the team in the process and the buy-in of the team in the process. And I guess it sort of goes all the way back to where you started, where you were talking about the sort of original 10 still being in situ. I've spoken to your team before and interviewed them for Top 1% Workplace Awards that we do with our magazine, The Financial Technologist. And to me, it feels like there's a bunch of people there who are on a mission as opposed to, I always like that expression of, is it a team full of missionaries or a team full of mercenaries? And there's so many businesses there that are guns for hire, and you see people who are moving on a journey from company to company, et cetera, et cetera. I think that sort of ability for the team to be involved in that collaborative sort of play is a really important part of that sort of journey as well, right?
Yeah, we've created a very special company, and that even that story of the original people sticking with us, that's just part of it. We've created a company of people that really want this to succeed. Of course, we look after them. There's a vested interest in everybody doing well.
Yeah.
But we hire exactly that right caliber. And one of our investors, it was quite cool actually. It wasn't our idea, but one of our investors said that Genesis brings Formula One engineering to your regular engineering team. And I think that in itself is pretty exciting. If you think of the Formula One engineering team, the people changing the wheels, the people, whatever happens in that Formula One garage, everybody wants that to succeed.
Yeah.
And it's very much like that within Genesis. It really is. It's everybody's really, really wanting this. Everybody's tired, everybody's exhausted, everyone's working hard, but everybody really wants it to succeed.
There's some very, very interesting books and studies on Formula One teams and how they, those pit crews and the sort of high performance element of what they do.
Yeah.
And you can see exactly how it mirrors across this sort of space as well. I could talk about this for a long time, so I promised myself I'd anchor and try and be as thorough as I could whilst getting everything that this is 15 episodes worth of content that we're going to try and jam into one. So let's talk about where it heads for you, what's next for the business, what it looks like for Genesis over 25 and beyond.
Yeah, so I think I've sort of covered it. The platform will be continuously evolving. We'll be getting feedback. We've got a roadmap as long as our arm to build. We're only just scratching the surfaces on AI.
Yeah.
So there's a big AI element which we haven't really covered much, but Genesis is starting to use it within the development process. It's starting to get projects. Even from an image, from like a Figma image or even a desktop image of an application, you can almost now take a photo of that and it will build all of the Genesis code. All well structured, all on guardrails. It's not spaghetti code, but so AI is really going to start accelerating what is already a key accelerator. So, but adoption, really, that's the main point. We want more and more people to be using it. There's a big push on our go-to-market team. The website, we just had a brand new website come out last week. It's all about getting more and more adoption of the technology.
Keep on going, keep on moving.
You got it.
Exciting stuff. So let's finish with you, because I sort of found a little bit out about you last time we met, and I think it's always good to do it. Two of the things that really interest me is and we'll come on to the second one there, is that you're a guy who's built a business over the last 10 years, and I know from personal experience about how much of you it puts into that. Your business has grown from a London-based business. You said the two of you were Brits and sort of started over there, and I know Stephen's been over here for a little while. You've been sacrificing a lot to come here and there. I know you're moving even further over here at the moment. Another founder who's got family, etc., etc. There's a lot of sacrifice to go into all that sort of thing. Tell us about look. You talked about the investors, you talked about the scale of opportunity, you know where this can go. Like I said, it's very easy when you get to sea to glide. You guys have got the foot on the pedal and it feels like the best is yet to come with it all as well. But that means that you're taking big, bold moves to drive this to what needs to happen as well. Yeah,
totally. And we've only just scratched the surface, so there's loads to come. From my perspective, I knew I was here a lot, and then I started to think, I should probably stop traveling on a travel visa. I should probably start getting a proper visa. And then I looked last year and I'd done 150 plus days here. And I thought that was a lot. And then I looked at the year before and it was a similar number. So, I have been doing this for this sort of split life, I guess, for a while. And really that's going to continue. London is well established. It is our headquarters, forgive me. It's where we originally started. So we've got a big team there. The core team is, the core platform team is based there and so on. So really we need to start,
and those originals, I guess, as well.
And the originals as well. And so But New York, is now playing catch up. So Stephen's here, of course, but I'm here I'm sort of moving over here more officially now, and really just to focus on the business, to grow the team, grow the sales. Plus our strategics are here. So Citi, Bank of America, and BNY, they're literally next door to our office down at World Trade. So it makes a lot of sense for me to be here. So sacrifices, yes, but also the children get apartments in New York to hang out.
It's not all bad for them, is it?
Yeah, exactly.
And then, look, the headlines over the last couple of years have been about Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney investing in Wrexham, which has sort of overshadowed another sort of fairly significant investment in the football world, which is you investing into Grimsby Town, right? So who's winning that race?
Well, they're definitely winning that race. They've done very well. They're a league above. But
so far.
Yeah, so far. Yeah, we're playing catch up. But I was made aware that Grimsby Town were looking for investors. I'm born and bred Grimsby. My parents are from there. My family's from there. So I was really Jason Stockwood and Andrew Pettit, the chairman and co-chairman. They tell a great story, and it's actually it's about the club, but actually the investment's about the town. Grimsby's a one sport town, and the following and everything else of the town. It was just very, very compelling for me to give a little bit back. So I'm a childhood fan of Grimsby Town football.
And you're enjoying it?
Oh, I love it.
How often are you there?
Well, when I'm back, I try and go, not every game, of course, but I try, maybe half a dozen away games and half a dozen home games in a season. So,
what a passion project. It must be great.
I was going to say it's a healthy distraction. I'm not sure how healthy it is. But it's amazing. I'm super pleased to be able to do it. I'm super proud to as well to be able to do it.
It must be an amazing thing. And that's the beauty of all the work and the effort that's gone into it to create those sort of opportunities.
Yeah, it's great. Right. I mean, who would have ever thought? But no, it's it's amazing. Yeah.
It wasn't on the menu when you first launched the company.
Absolutely, it wasn't, no.
James, we're going to come and talk about this. So we mentioned beforehand that when the AI is up and running and the journey of it all, this is a definite episode. I've had various people who've been on the show and come back time and time again to sort of tell and retell the story of growth. I can't tell you how excited I am to watch what happens next for you, especially over here and what's happening. You look at the scale and scope of opportunity, and there's so much out here that I think every time I'm over here, I just sort of think, there's so much to be done, and so much that can be grown over here, and for the business like yours to come out of it, to see what it's got in front of it, I wish you nothing other than the very best of luck. It's been great having you on the show.
My pleasure.
Thanks for coming on board.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you all for watching. We will see you soon on the next episode of FinTech Focus TV. Thanks a lot.